Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gabby. I'm going to be talking to you about all the 15 books that I read in the third quarter of 2024, which is going to be July, August, and September, and I'm very excited. As I show you guys these books that I read, you're going to see a very common theme across from them. I kind of got really addicted to reading a very specific type of genre. I have the majority of the books in hardcover, and I would switch between reading the physical book and also reading on my Kindle. There's only one book in this entire stack that I don't have the physical copy of. That's because I just never went and bought it. I did read on the physical book and my Kindle. We're gonna start off with July, and I read 6 books. I feel like this is the most amount of books that I've ever read in my entire life in 1 month. I feel like it typically takes me 2 weeks to get through like one book. But guys, I read these in like what felt like 3 or 4 days, which is absolutely crazy. First book that I read in July was Swift and Saddle by Lila Sage. This is the second book of the Rebel Blue Grange series. This is also a cowboy romance book. I absolutely loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. They do talk about a little bit of mental health, and I feel like they kind of brushed up on. Didn't really like dive too much on it. Overall, I loved these books. Like I literally went from the first one to the second one immediately because I just wanted to know more. I know that there's going to be other books of this series. Wait, the books are quite literally so short. This one is literally 285 pages. And I believe I read this maybe 3 or 4 days. I absolutely love like Lila Sage. It's become one of my most favorite authors. I cannot wait to see what other things she comes out with. The second book that I read is my first ever Elsie Silver book. Guys, I don't know what took me so long to read her work and dive into these characters because this was so much fun. At this point, this is my third cowboy romance that I read, and I just was feeling this craving that I had with it, and I was like, I just feel like I need to just keep reading these books because they felt so addicting. I was like, I don't care if this book is like 700 pages, I'm going to read this. And again, this took 3 or 4 days to read. Elsie Silver does a really good job of storytelling. She does a really good job of getting to both of these characters' brains and seeing how they work, their chemistry, but I quite literally became hooked. This one is Wild Love, and this is the first book of the Rose Hill series. She has come out with a post on Instagram indicating you on how to read her books and where to start. She put the Rose Hill series first to read instead of the Chestnut Hill series. I started off with this book. I gave it 4.5. The only reason I didn't give this a 5 was because there were 2 like intimate scenes that happened that I was just not a big fan of. As I was reading them, I was like, this is gross. This is not my thing. They were feeling like 5-star books for me, but I just like, there were 2 scenes that I just couldn't do. But other than that, the banter, the flirtiness, the chemistry, everything was spot on. The third book I read this year was Flawless by yet again Elsie Silver. This is the first book of the Chestnut Spring series. This series is very much greatly talked about. A lot of people really like this series because it's fun, fast-paced, the characters are done really well, the writing is done really well. I just kept eating this up. I was realizing that I read the books kind of quickly, and I feel like I don't read books that quickly to begin with. I was on a roll. I've noticed that I haven't told you guys what these books are about. I just kind of giving you a rating. It's just that I have 15 books and I don't want to make this video so long. What I'm here for is to give you my rating, tell you how I felt about the book. If you know anything about Elsie Silver or Lila Sage, is that they're based off of small town cowboy romances. Each book depicts a different brother or different man, and they're all kind of interconnected. So you can read any Elsie Silver book in whatever order that you want or that you prefer. You don't have to read them in any particular order. So sorry I haven't even described what the books are actually about. I'm gonna try to. The Rose Hill series. This series is going to compile of single dad tropes. Every book is going to include a single dad. That's the whole premise for the Rose Hill series. The Chestnut Spring series, they're all going to be consisted of brothers, so each book is going to talk about a different brother. I really liked this one. He is a bull rider and she is his agent slash babysitter. So there's things that happen in between the 2 of them. I gave this book 5 stars. This was my first 5-star of the month and I absolutely loved it. This one's called Flawless and it is the first book of the Chestnut Spring series. I was kind of in the mood to kind of like spice things up a little bit because I was like, at this point I've read like 4 romance books. I kind of want to stir away and read something else. And the next book that I picked up was The Housemaid. This is by Frida McFadden. This is a thriller slash mystery book. I've heard so many good things about this book in particular and also like Frida McFadden's writing. This is the first book of the series. I rated this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I loved how quick and easy it was to kind of get into the story. You think you kind of know something, but you really don't, because the plot twist kind of stirs you away from everything that you thought you knew. I do want to read more of her books because I know there's other like popular books out there that a lot of people really like. I do think that if you're getting into like mystery thriller, or if you're getting into Freida McFadden books, start with The Housemaid. The 5th book that I read was Out on a Limb by Hannah Bowden Young. Guys, I have no words for this book. I have no words for this book. I absolutely loved it. I thought the writing was done really well. I also go into a lot of books not really knowing what tropes they're gonna have or what storyline it's gonna be based off of. I devoured this book. I cried, I laughed. This was my first book by this particular author. Really liked it. It does have a pregnancy trope in it. I would highly recommend anyone to go read this because the storyline between these two characters is perfection. No flaws. She absolutely killed it with this series. This is such a fun and cozy read, how you kind of go on a journey with them in terms of the whole pregnancy thing that happens. I thought it was a beautifully done book. It's been one of my favorite books that I have read so far. And then the last book that I read in July is Heartless, and this is the 2nd book of the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. I rated this book 5 stars. Honestly, it was perfect. So easy to read and so easy to kind of get into these characters' worlds and their brains. It consists of a nanny and a single dad. I thought it was really fun to read. You do get found family. I really liked because it felt like you were reading this and you were like watching someone else's close friends, family kind of figure out their own life. I absolutely love this. And in August, I read another 6 books, which is absolutely bizarre. My 2nd longest ever reading month of 2024, and I'm very excited to show you guys what books I read. First book that I read in the month was Powerless. This is the 3rd book of the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. Like I said at the beginning of this video, there is a theme that I'm going to stick to, and I just went ahead and wanted to read all the books that I humanly could find. This is A Childhood Friends to Lovers. This was not my most favorite book of the whole series. I think about childhood friends to lovers in my own sort of way, and I'm just like, I cannot picture someone else that I used to like when I was young and then fast forward a couple years and still like them the same way. Maybe just a me thing. I really liked it though. I still rated it 5 stars. Would be considered like a sports romance with hockey elements in it. She is a figure skater and then he's a hockey player. They just had chemistry quite literally from when they first met. I feel like everyone kind of knew something was going to happen, but like they didn't push it within them, which I really liked. Next book I read was The Housemaid's Secret, which is the 2nd book of The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. I thought this book was okay. I literally rated this 3.5 stars. I finished it and was like, oh wait, there's like a 3rd one? Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good with the first one. I don't think you need to read the 2nd one. It just kind of continues off the first one. I thought this was okay. I wasn't that blown away by it by all means. The 3rd book that I read in the month was Reckless, again by Elsie Silver. Guys, I was just on a roll. This is the 4th book of the Chestnut Spring series. I believe there's like one more right after this and the whole series is done. Again, I read these books so quickly. I rated this 5 stars. If you go on my Instagram and you look up like the books that I read in 2024, all I wrote about this book was, oh my god, I'm in love with Theo. You need to read this. It was so well done. The way that both of these characters honestly just made for one another, and their chemistry between each other and their banter and their wit, everything about it was spectacular. The next book that I reread, actually, because I reread this book back in 2024 and I wanted to reread it again because I thought I was going to go see the movie, so I really wanted to try to remember what the book had to offer before I went to go see the movie, but I never really went to go see the movie. But I now have a better idea what the book started off with, which is An Angel Dust by Colleen Hoover. I rated this book 3 stars. I thought it was okay. I honestly didn't remember much of it, but as I kept reading, I was like, oh yeah, that happens. Oh yeah, that happens. Oh my god, he did that. The 5th book that I read this month was Hopeless, which again is the last one of the Chestnut Spring series. So this is the 5th and final book. Guys, I fell in love with this series so much. I do have a video ranking all the 5 books of this series on my Instagram and on my TikTok. I honestly don't really remember the tropes in this book, but it was about Beau and Bailey. It was kind of like a really nice finisher because you hear about Beau so much in the other 4 books, or like you finally get a 5th book on him. I think it was spectacular. I rated this book 5 stars. The last book that I read of August was The Teacher by Freida McFadden. I saw this book go around a lot on TikTok, so I really wanted to read it. My buddy read this with the same person that I read The Housemaid with. I rated this 4 stars. Guys, the predictions that I had based off this book were all wrong. Absolutely all wrong. They were all wrong. I thought it was gonna go one way and they completely smashed it and went another way. I really liked it. I do want to be a teacher when I finish my degree and all that stuff, and I do not recommend doing any of the things that this book has to offer. For the mystery and thriller part of it, I thought it was really interesting and it kept me on my edge of my toes. I had a list of all the things that I thought was going to happen. As I would read it, I'd be like, oh wait, oh we're not doing that, oh wait we're not doing that, oh wait we're not doing that, and it just like completely derailed you from everything that you thought. In September, I only read 3 books. So the last book I read on my Kindle, which is why you only really see 2 here. The first book that I read was Tell Me Lies. I got influenced to read this book just because I saw someone on Instagram like rave about the book. It's a TV show, so I'm really excited to see what the TV show has to offer. I have heard that the book and the TV show are very different. I rated this 3.5 stars. I thought it was okay. Like I wasn't, oh my god, this is the best book I've ever read, which I would really like to see how the TV show kind of compares or not compares to the book. The first half of this book I thought was just really slow. I understand they have to kind of like build out the storyline for you, but once the second half came in, I was all in. I was quite literally all in. I did get emotional towards the end of the book just because something happens. Overall, I really liked the characters. I really liked the storyline of this book. The second book that I read in September is Wild Eyes, and I absolutely love this one more than Wild's Love. There's kids involved in this because yet again this comes from a single dad trope. I loved how as a reader you got to experience what these kids had to kind of overcome and how they got integrated into their dad's life plus the FMC. This I rate 5 stars. I thought it was 10 times better than the first one. I wish I would have rated this 6 stars, but on Goodreads and all that kind of stuff, it only really gives you 5 stars to offer. Even bringing like the kids' humor into it was such a smart move, but absolutely love this. The last book that I read was Deadly Occupants, and I rated this 4 stars. I generally thought this was a perfect book to read for fall or like spooky season. You want like a really creepy, fun horror book to kind of read. It reminded me a lot of Pretty Little Liars just because it's kind of based off of like 4 girls. From what I heard is that if you like Pretty Little Liars and you like Paranormal Activity combined, you really like this book. I did have a bit of a prediction as I read the books as to like who the person was going to kind of turn out to be, and I did end up being right. That was kind of like fun because as I was reading it I was like, wait, I think I kind of know who this person is or who it's going to turn out to be, and I was right, and I was like, wait. That made it a little bit more enjoyable for me to read. These are all the books that I read in July, August, and September. I'm very happy with these books. I'm also going to disclaim and say that I've never really DNF'd a book. I'm very excited about my stack of books here. I'm also really excited to see how many more books I can finish towards the end of the year and towards 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I do want to film more reading videos, so if you have any suggestions or anything you guys want me to talk about, please let me know down in the comments and I will put them out for you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye!